afternoon? What is it?
I think it's still morning, isn't it? Yes, for a little bit.
Technically, half an hour. All right. Good morning, then.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm not bad. A little tired.
Yeah.
A little tired. Late
game.
game.
Kentucky Louisville action last night? Who'd you have? Well. So did I, actually.
Yeah.
In my bracket. My bracket got destroyed day one. Game one. I don't know about anybody else who was at college basketball. Harvard beat it up too. Harvard and Dayton just destroyed my bracket. So, gotta keep working. I'm gonna get that $1 billion.
No. Everybody was eliminated that first day.
Is that amazing?
Everybody.
That's insane.
That's why they're offering so much.
Yeah, exactly. Make it 10 billion. Doesn't matter.
Now, again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to line up behind that gentleman. I'm going to get to you in just a moment.
I don't trust that guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's definitely, he's got a beard.
A bushy beard.
Yeah, I can't even do that.
So when I was telling followers and friends and coworkers that I was going to be hosting your panel, I would ask, okay, is there anything you want me to ask Dean Cain? And the most common answer, and I swear to God this is the truth, the most common question that people want me to ask, how does he smell? I swear to God, that was like...
Well, the answer's obvious, through his nose.
Right?
Well, come on, let's give it a sniff. Like a dude.
Smells like a man.
Yeah, man smell. Not all musky, but it'd be like nice smelling man. I'm not a cologne guy.
I was going to tell him he smelled like log cabins and maple syrup.
That works.
Yeah. So
there we go. It smells like Superman. I like that.
Then the next follow-up is what a Superman smell like.
And then you go,
Dean Cain.
Log cabins and maple syrup. That's what I'm going to say. And another personal note, first time I really interacted with you, I was hoping you get back to your booth. I think it was Nashville last year, Nashville ComicCon. You didn't want to wait for the escort team, so you're like, I'm just going to walk back down to the show floor myself. Then you got a little lost.
Yeah, that happens. These are confusing, am I right? These are a little bit confusing sometimes.
Yes,
you walk around and, yeah, I got lost. I went walkabout for a while.
I don't know if you remember this, but I decided to have some fun with our walk through the floor. So you and I were walking back, we had to go through the main entrance all the way back to the celebrity area. And I'm like, hey, Dean, stop real quick, okay? Then turn to the right, so you turn to the right. And I had you stop numerous times so you could photobomb people.
Which, by the way, I love a good photobomb.
Yeah, you're great.
Nothing wrong with a good photobomb.
And most people didn't catch it until you start walking away. Wait, Superman just photobombed!
Oh, you're out. Perfect.
That's the type of guy we're interacting with over the next few moments. So have some fun with the questions.
Not too much fun. Not too much fun.
Not too much fun. Okay, a little bit of fun.
All right, a little bit.
All right, go ahead, neckbeard.
My secret identity. Okay, so if you don the cape again, let's say Terry Hatcher doesn't come back, you know, all that. I know, I'm just thinking with my fanboy brain. But, okay, so Superman kind of for the long term with the immortal thing kind of hooks up with Wonder Woman. If you could cast your own Wonder Woman, who would it be?
I think that's an obvious answer, demonstrated by the fact that I'm not married yet. Let's see. First of all, I will say that Terry Hatcher, I think, was the best Lois Lane. I'll throw that out there.
Cool.
I really do. I think she was fantastic. Oh, wow. Gosh, I wish I had some more time with this one. And the internet. So I could really have fun. Gosh, I don't know. I don't know who it would be. I have some ideas. I can't share them now. Who would be? I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think would be a good Wonder Woman?
Well, I would say my wife, but I don't want her opposite you.
There you go. Smart on both ends, my friend. I don't know. I really don't know. I know they had the series for a little bit, right? Didn't they have the Wonder Woman series for a bit? I didn't see it.
I think so. It never got to air, though.
They filmed one episode. It wasn't picked up.
So maybe not her.
That Gail Gadot.
Maybe. Oh.
She's in the new one.
Gail Gadot. Yeah, she's easy on the eyes.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, I saw her in Fast and Furious. The fact that I knew that was her name
There you
tells
go.
you that I checked that out. That's the internet, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, she's beautiful. Wonder Woman I thought was a little more, you know, muscly. That girl looks pretty thin. But maybe she's gonna get them with the truth lasso and Who knows? I really don't know. I'm really excited to see that show, that film. I have no idea what it's going to be. I mean, I haven't even heard anything about it. Have you guys heard anything about it? Because I have no concept of what it's about.
The show is not going to happen, but the Man of Steel 2, well, Affleck.
Ooh. Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I said, if it's actually really Batman versus Superman, it's a very short movie. Thank you for your money, and let's pop our way out. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'll watch it, that's for sure. And I wish I had a better answer for your Wonder Woman thing, but I'll say her for now, because she's going to be it.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Have they approached you to make a cameo in the
Nothing.
Man of Steel movies?
Nothing.
Where Marvel's great, they get Lou Ferrigno and the Hulk, they find a way to get them, and they haven't approached you at all.
They always put that Stan Lee guy in there, too.
Yeah. But no Dean Cain in Man of Steel.
You know, well, let's just say Marvel's doing pretty well right now. And DC, take a note, huh?
If Marvel approached you, say you want to be in one of our movies, would you do it? Would you turn your back on Superman?
Yes! Give me those great movies. That would be fun. Well, they have a sense of humor about it. That's what's always fun when you see Stan show up. It's always going like, who is that guy? Or something, and he's very funny. And I think that's, getting the joke is part of enjoying the superhero lore, I think.
Awesome. Doctor Strange, anybody? Doctor Strange, that's the one coming up.
Mr. Fantastic. I like that too. It's kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde there. Dr. Strange and Mr. Fantastic. I can do that.
Dean, can I call you Dean?
Yes, sir.
All right.
As long as I can call you Superman, because you got the S on.
Dean, did you see The Man of Steel, and what were your thoughts on it?
Yes, I did see it. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I think it was a completely different take on the character and the mythos than my show, that Lois and Clark had. There was two aspects of what we did on the television show that I think made us successful, and they were completely missing from the film, which are humor and romance. And I didn't think either one of those really existed in that film. I don't think it was trying to do any of those things. But those are the things that we did well on our show, and they were completely absent from the film. So it was a different incarnation. I think Henry did great. I think some of the images that they captured were amazing. But there was some controversy there with Superman, you know, snapping the guy's neck at the end. And how many people do you think died in those buildings going down? I mean, there was a lot. Am I crazy? There was a lot of death and destruction going on. So yeah, other than that, I enjoyed the film a lot, though.
And one last question. If you were approached to do one of the DCU animated movies as Superman, would you do that again? Or would you do that?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just that they haven't approached me.
You work on that as a fan, so.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning, still.
I'm going to test your memory a little bit.
False. Sorry. Okay.
Back when Ripley's was on,
Okay.
I mailed you a package.
Oh.
I made you an Afghan. It was Buffalo Bill's Afghan.
Uh-huh.
Did you get that?
Would that be the one that's up in my son's playroom? I think it is. Yes, I did get that, and it is up in my son's playroom. So it is up there. Absolutely. And that's a lot of work, but that was big.
It was.
Thank you for that, because as a very proud former Buffalo Bill, unfortunately Ralph Wilson, our owner, passed away a few days ago, and I was fortunate enough to play under him for a little bit, and I appreciate that, and the Afghan, and it's very much in the house up there, and occasionally snuggle up in it and all that sort of stuff.
Are you involved in Pure Country 3?
Yeah, I wrote it with my dad, and we haven't set it up yet, to be honest. We've written it, but we haven't set it up, although we have some designs on that. We have some ideas.
Still following the SBT.
All right, it's my brother's band, Don't Stop Believing. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon.
I'm one of the admins for one of the Facebook pages, your fan pages, and one of our members wrote a message, and I thought I'd share it.
Is it explicit?
No.
Okay. All right, that's a fair question.
Very fair.
Okay.
His name is Graham Sewell, and he's in Australia.
Graham Sewell.
Good day, mate.
And it says, yes, exactly.
Hey.
It says, like to pay Dean a compliment. Never since George Reeves played the role have we had a believable Clark Kent. In the movies, he was always shown as a bumbler. Dean brought to the role caring and sincere Clark that was a joy to watch, and also a sensitivity that had been missing even from George Reeves' character. I believe the traits Dean brought to the role were his own. All of you who have met him know what I mean. Your top's mate.
All right, Graham. All right, well, I'll tell you, he's my favorite person down under right now. That's awesome. That's very nice.
And then I had a question.
Okay.
You've been an actor, a director, a producer, and a writer. Which of these have you enjoyed doing the most and why? And which of them have you enjoyed doing the least and why?
I think I've enjoyed acting the most and the least. But I enjoy the whole process. Filmmaking is so much fun, and I really enjoy every step of it. It can get very, very tedious, and you're going over exactly, young crying child. That's how I feel. It's a very tedious process. It's not exciting. People come and visit set. They come up and they hang out for about 5 or 10 minutes, and they go, "You're going to do it again? The exact same thing?" "Yeah, like 15 more times." But it gets very tedious. Directing is great because you're doing the storytelling, and I enjoy that. And there's no pressure to perform. You're thinking in completely different terms. I really like doing it all. The fun thing is that you don't have to exclude one part or the other. I mean, you can be Ben Affleck, you can star in it, and you can direct it, you can do all the different things. And you can be Batman. So I enjoy all of them, to be honest. I think producing's kind of the best, because then you put everything together and just hang out. That's really easy. Sorry for any producers out there, I'm not trying to get fired or anything, but they make all the big decisions. And, but I really enjoy every aspect of it, to be honest. Yes, how's that for a non-answer?
Hi,
Hi.
I have a few questions, if that's okay. I don't want to take up too much time.
You're the boss.
Thank you. How, playing Superman, a character that is very, very good, to say the least, how did that help you grow as a person at all?
You know, a lot of times when you're taking acting classes and doing things like that, they're almost like psychology sessions. You'll find that happening if any of you take acting classes. They try to get into who you are. And some people that's very important, and some people it's not very important. Some of the really good actors I know are really screwed up people in real life. So when they go and become a character, it's almost like they're happier there. I'm not that way, by the way. I'm not. I very much am happy with my life outside of work. Sometimes you bring traits, parts of yourself in, and sometimes you don't. In that particular role, Superman, yeah, certainly I brought a lot of myself into it. I never try to analyze too much about, I try to keep a separation between my personal life and what goes on. But every character, you'll notice that in any series that people do, not always, but very often you'll catch a lot of them. Like if you look at the first Friends episode versus the last Friends episode, they're completely different characters because so much of them got into it. So I don't know, I try to keep those things I try to keep them separate myself.
I think that's a good way to handle that. Was it hard to learn how to transition between Superman and Clark? Because there really is a big difference between those characters, and I feel like I do a lot of theater, and I feel like for me as an actor, that would be extremely hard to just be on set and then have to go from like this to this.
Well, for me, my closest inspiration for playing Superman was watching Christopher Reeve. I mean, he was my Superman growing up, and so I would watch him, and that was my Superman performance, sort of based on what he did there. Clark was much more along the George Reeve version, but it was really on the page. They really had that character on the page. And even through the audition process, there was I felt like I had a clear take on it. Maybe it just spoke to me. Maybe it was just clear to me. So it wasn't that hard for me. I feel like when I was pretending to be somebody when I was playing Superman, and I was being somebody when I played Clark.
And this is actually kind of a little sad, but what are your thoughts on the Superman curse?
Oh, that's not sad at all. I don't think there's anything to that at all because the Superman curse is so fabricated. A couple people met with some tough situations, but that happens in any group of people. Unfortunately, somebody in this room. No, I'm kidding. No, but I mean, just if you look statistically. But Kirk Allen, he lived till the ripe old age of 80-something or something like that, so he did fine. He wasn't cursed. George Reeves, who knows exactly what happened there. Christopher Reeve, I would argue, is a story of tremendous triumph. The stuff that he's been through and the way he inspired millions through what he went through, and I would say that was a victory. And so far, myself and Tom and Henry are doing okay.
I don't really think that it's a real thing. Several people were asking me, oh, you need to ask me about that. I was like, I don't want to ask about that. That's horrible.
No, it doesn't bother me unless you know something I don't know. In which case.
We're good. We're on the same page.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As long as you're not on cover of an EA Sports game.
Yeah, well, then my team would certainly lose.
Yeah, that's the worst curse out.
Although I'd take that.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
My question is about the reality show you did a while back, Stars and Stripes.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering, what was your best experience and maybe what your worst experience was about it?
Stars and Stripes is one of those things, like reality shows, I'm typically not much of a fan of. But Stars and Stripes, if you're not familiar with it, was a bunch of celebrity types took place in some military exercises with a lot of our men and women in uniform. Actually, it was all the operators were men, but they're Navy SEALs, Delta Force, guys like that. And for me, it was one of the most amazing experiences because I've been over with our servicemen and women to Iraq and things like that, and I've seen war up close. It's not fun, it's not pretty, but you are constantly amazed at the professionalism, the strength, and the resolve of our men and women in uniform. And I, having been over there, had such great respect for them. But then to be able to operate with them, I mean, Chris Kyle, rest his soul, was my partner and one of my heroes. And to be able to go on missions and operations with him and see him in action and see these other amazing guys in action was awesome. My favorite thing was just learning from those guys, talking to them and hearing the stories they tell when you're sitting around. To hear Chris Kyle and General Wesley Clark discussing the Iraq War from different perspectives I was a fly on the wall just listening. I'm a history major too, so I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. Probably my worst experience was jumping out of that helicopter into the water with 70 pounds of gear and no flotation. That was terrifying.
That's a guts.
Yeah, well, of course I didn't drown like those other two guys. Poor Terry and Dolvet, they both drowned. Well, they were going to drown. They literally would have drowned had they not been plucked out of there. So it was scary. But also, as scary as that was a great moment of triumph because I made it to the boat. Whew. But that was an amazing experience that I'll never, ever, you can't replicate that, ever. Thank you. Even though you're wearing a Batman shirt.
So you were recently on Comic Book Man, and when you received the reward for Superman, was that awkward? You seemed like it was awkward. And did you spend the gift certificate?
Yeah, well, I think was it $25? They gave me like a $25 gift certificate at a comic book store. I was like, thank you for that. I can only spend it in their store. I was like, oh, you guys are givers. No, those guys are a lot of fun. I mean, they're super fun and they're great. It's about an hour and a half from where I went to college too, so it was nice to get out there. I did not spend it. I expected it's going to accrue over time. So when it gets to about, I'm going to compound that interest and everything. And so in about 15 years, it might be worth like $30. And then I'll spend it.
Hi, Dean.
Hi.
I found out that you were going to be here about 2 hours ago, so that was a lovely surprise.
So did I, by the way.
And so, I kind of grew up watching Lois and Clark because my mom was a huge fan, and so me and my entire family, we would watch it together. So, so this is really cool being here. Anyway, I have 2 questions. They're a little bit generic, but I wasn't really creative with question thinking, so I was thinking of questions that my sisters would want me to ask.
That's right.
First off...
Sure, put it off on them.
Yeah.
Good job, I like that tactic.
Yeah.
If it's a good question, she helped think of it. If it's a bad question, it's
nothing to do with it.
The first one is just, what would be your favorite episode that you did when you were on the show, if you can remember?
I think my favorite episode of Lois and Clark was, it seemed so magical to me, was the time that, and I've said this before, it was the time that Clark proposed to Lois, and she says, who's asking, Clark or Superman? And I thought that was a great moment, because that was the heart of the show. There was romance and a little bit of humor to it, which, again, I said the 2 aspects that I thought were missing from the Man of Steel, or just weren't there. And so that, I think, was probably my favorite episode. I think I really enjoyed it the most, and that was kind of the heart of the show.
Okay, thanks. And also, this is definitely more my question than theirs, but what was your favorite villain to work with?
Oh, wow. That's tough. Because I'm going to get killed anyway I answer that one. I said, what was your favorite girlfriend? Oh, no. All of them were great. Girlfriends and villains. Except for that one. I think you have to give to John Shea just being Lex Luthor. I mean, that's the ultimate villain and nemesis of Superman for sure. So I'll have to give it to John Shea just on the basis of him being Lex. But there were some fun ones on the show. We had some real fun people. Tempest was a lot of fun. Just that dry sense of humor. But I've got to give it to John Shea.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Lex Luthor. Hi.
So I was going to ask about the comic book making certificate, but that was already asked.
Oh.
So I'll ask, if you had to pick another comic book besides Superman, what would be your favorite?
If I had to pick another comic book besides Superman, well, I did like Spider-Man back in the day. I know, I'm jumping ship. I did like Spider-Man. Batman, no. I enjoy it, but I can't go there. You know, when I was young, I watched superhero for Justice League, Super Friends. Wow. Maybe I did find out 2 hours ago I was going to be here. I liked Super Friends, and other than Superman, believe it or not, my favorite guy was Aquaman. And I don't know why. Maybe because he could talk to the fish with his... I thought that was cool. I was like 4 or 5. And so I guess it was Aquaman. I didn't really read the comics when I was young. I really didn't. I couldn't read. But I wasn't a big comic book fan, didn't read them a lot. Super Friends was really my introduction.
Thanks.
Thank you. Uh-oh. Well done.
I know a lot of things have probably happened to you on set, but what was the funniest thing that ever happened to you on set?
Oh, we had, because you know, you work about 18 hours a day, or on set. One day we shot for 22 hours. So sometimes you get to a point where you're doing something and you think it's hysterical and it's really not that funny. So that happened a lot. You just get sort of punch drunk and you just don't even know what's going on, and somebody trips and you think that's the funniest thing that ever happened. But one of the funniest things, when I would fly, when they would actually travel me from point A to point B, which wasn't always, a lot of times they'd hang me there and blow wind at me, and that wasn't fun. But because they used an what they called an air mover, which would just be this huge air compressor thing that would pull air from behind, and also pull every little rock and everything that was on the ground and shoot it at me. So they started up. So that wasn't much fun, but when they would travel me from point A to point B, it was kind of fun because you had to balance and they're pulling you and stuff. And they managed to fly me directly into what they call the translite, which is when you see like the whole big city in the background, all that stuff. It's not really there. And they flew me right into that. So I thought that was pretty fun. Apparently they all thought it was funny too, because they let me hang in there for about 15 minutes while they're all laughing. So that may have been one of the funniest things that happened. So I'm going to go with that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
I thought of one more question. Do you get to do you get to look at any of the social media sites, and if so, which one's your favorite, say, Superman homepage?
Obviously the Superman homepage. Yes, the Superman sites themselves.
Yeah.
My social media is more or less limited to Twitter. I'll tweet certain things out and people will post things. So when there's things that are posted, if they're posted there, sometimes I'll click on them and go, because man, you can spend all day on those things. I don't know if you guys know that. You can get lost in that internet place. So I don't really frequent a lot of it, but if somebody posts something, I go and check out the sites for sure. I just don't find myself with a lot of time to do that, to surf around. So unless it's something that I can link and pop onto, I don't really check anything out. But if you got suggestions, tweet me.
SupermanHomepage.com.
SupermanHomepage.com. All right, now we got something to check out.
Hi, Dean.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I want to say this again. I said it to you earlier today. Thank you very much for being at Metropolis this year. I think it's good to have you there. Oh, yeah,
I'm excited to go. I've never been.
It's a wonderful club. It's a great little town.
All right, better. I'm going to hold you personally responsible. You're okay with that? All right.
I lived there when I was a baby, so.
Oh, wow. Apparently so did I. No, that's, wow. All right.
I'm a big fan of the Who, so I have to ask you, how is it like working with Roger Daltrey?
See, I'm a guy, I know a lot about Hollywood and things like that. I studied, you know, a lot of historical things with Hollywood and so on and so forth. So we'd have guys like Tony Curtis on, it would be amazing, and different people. I wasn't a rock and roll historian. My brother's a big musician, and he is, and was. But the same thing I find like working with James Caan or people like that is sitting around and just listening to them tell stories is amazing. And I knew exactly who Roger Daltrey was, and I had great respect for him. I went and did a lot more research once he came on the show. But to sit around with him and hear him start telling stories about, oh yeah, so me and the Beatles went over to this little pub over in Liverpool someplace, and there's this guy, left-handed guitar player named Jimi Hendrix, and they looked at each other and said, we're going to have to kill this guy because he's amazing and he's going to make us all look stupid. And I was like, oh my gosh. There he is with the Beatles, watching Jimi Hendrix. I'm like, can you imagine being in that club? It's just crazy. So listening to the stories that they would tell, that Roger would tell, was amazing. Just hearing the things that he said outside of anything you'd ever hear in an interview or anything, because it's just casual talk. That was one of the most amazing things ever.
That's very cool. Now, what did you think of the villain he played on your show?
Oh, he was great. He was fantastic. He's such a good guy. For a rock and roll legend to be out there, it's, you know, there's moments you're like, that's Roger Daltrey. Look at that, right there, right in front of me. And it was pretty amazing. I thought he did a great job. I had to, you know, whip his tail, but that's what happens when you're the star of the show.
That's very cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey there.
Hi.
My senior year, you were at college. You were the main, you're a big part of my thesis. I was an East Asian Studies major, and I always looked at the negative portrayals of Asian men in cinema, and you were positive. And
Thank you, yeah. Well, I hate that Superman would be a negative. Jeez, if Superman's a negative, that's tough. You got tough criteria.
back then, you know, it was always gardeners. A lot of Asian men always were portrayed as gardeners. And they weren't like the sex symbols, and so you were.
Pat Morita was a sex symbol.
Your Asian ancestry affected your Hollywood experience?
That's a good question. Thank you for that. I never knew my biological father. So when I was 3 years old, my mom met my stepfather, and they married when I was 4. And so I never knew that side of my family. My father was not there. My biological father was not there. So I knew that I was Asian, of Asian descent. I'm quarter Japanese, and but I just didn't. I knew that, like, you know, that you have dark hair. I never thought about it. One day my friend said to me, hey, I was young, and he said, hey, Frank's sister asked if those Chinese kids moved out. And I was like, what Chinese kids? He's like, you idiot. I'm not Chinese, I'm Japanese. I didn't understand, so I didn't even think of myself in those terms. And then when I was cast in Superman, my brother thought this was the funniest thing in the world, they said we wanted Superman, not Sushi Man. My brother actually was laughing so hard he was crying. And I thought that was funny too. You know, for me, being a quarter Asian, it was never I was always proud of who I was. I never saw it as a negative or a positive. It was just who I was. And I like the mix. I'm quite happy with the mix. I like it because for me, I can play different ethnicities. I've played Hawaiian, I can play, you know, Latino, I can play Italian, things like that, which is great. But it never was a negative or a positive to me. I embraced who I am just because I am who I am, and I'm happy with that. But it was never a big deal. It was more of a big deal to others. I see myself. I don't qualify myself as an Asian American any more than I would qualify myself as you know, I'm just an American, which can be anything. I think things are changing a lot in these times now too, where people don't look at it in those terms. But I don't know. I never thought about it like that. I saw it in the media portrayed that way. I think the media made more of a deal about it than individuals did. I certainly wasn't really that concerned about it. It's just the only thing was that I had no hair on my chest, so it was easy to take the mic there. That's it. That was it. Thank you. I can't grow it because I'm Asian. okay?
Now it's like looking in a mirror.
Yes, exactly. That's,
Your identical twin.
That is. That's what I'm going to look like after staying up all night tonight celebrating Kentucky's win. Good morning.
Smallville.
Yes, sir.
Part is Vandal Savage villain. How working with Rosenbaum and Tom Welling, what was that like? Did you enjoy it?
Well, the character I played was Curtis Knox, but everyone draws the parallel to Randall Savage. They couldn't call me that for, I don't know, I guess for various reasons, but Curtis Knox was the character. But yes, it was certainly an ode to Randall Savage. And working with those guys were in, I think, year 7 of the show. They had it down to a science. Rosenbaum is hysterical. They did it like a well-oiled machine. They were a lot of fun. I like to tell my Tom Welling story because I think it's very funny. It was strange to be there and not be doing the super stuff, not doing the eyes, or the breath, or the super speed. And so there was a time where Tom and I had to fight. We were outside this one area. He had to do a super speed through the crowd of people to get to something. And so you have to rehearse that. And when we were rehearsing that, we, as the people who aren't being super speed, we have to move slowly. And then he has to go kind of quickly through. And Tom was going, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I was like, Tom, no, make sound effects. but it was a lot of fun. And those guys were great, and they did a great job. I mean, for 10 years, that's why, I mean, Tom should have a 7-year vacation after that. He earned it.
So I've heard that Kevin Sorbo was the other person in contention for Lois and Clark. Is that true?
That is 100% correct, yes.
So he's also in God's Not Dead. I don't know if you guys have any scenes together, but have you guys talked about that at all? I know he kind of ended up doing fine, you know. But, does that come up in conversation?
Well, yeah, Kevin and I talk, we're friends. We talk all the time. Well, yeah, that comes up, absolutely. You know, it was funny because, you know, he's kind of a blondie guy. So I figured, I got this, right? We've never seen Superman with blonde hair. But then they made me come back in and do more stuff, so I thought maybe I don't got this. But yeah, it came down to Kevin and I at the final network reading. And I actually heard his audition, which is a big no-no. You don't really want to hear the other person's audition because you don't want it to color yours. But I knew that we were playing it very differently. And I was very happy to get the role. He obviously got Hercules just after and did that. You know, in the film God's Not Dead, we play very different characters. That was, what a surprise that film has turned out to be. If you're not familiar with it, it's done very well. It came out last week and did very well in the box office, a big shocker, and it's out. Hopefully this weekend it'll do equally as well. You know, it just so happened that we end up in a lot of places together, and we are friends, and that was a first opportunity that we had to work together. Although we're in no scenes together, we're sort of, he's with my sister. Shame on him. I was actually on the up and up, but he's with my sister in the film, and we never actually share any time together on screen. But it was kind of fun for us to be able to do a film together. We've been looking to try to do that a couple of times. Thank you.
So in a parallel universe, if you would have gotten Superman, you would have been Hercules then. Whoa.
Yes. Yes.
Stop and think about it.
Chew on that. Chew on that one.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you again.
My mom wanted me to ask you, and sorry if you've been asked this already, but she wants to know if you're going to do another TV show or not.
Well, I'm on one right now called Hit the Floor, which is on VH1, and we're in the middle of shooting that right now. It's the 2nd season of that show. Something that's very interesting now is, back when I was doing Lois and Clark, there really were 3 networks. ABC, NBC, and CBS, and that was it. And now there's 9,000 different channels you can tune into. You can make a show for Netflix, and they all air at once. I mean, it's amazing what's happening now, which I think is fantastic. So you can be on a show for 5 years and no one's seen it, and it's still fantastic. And I'm all for it because there's a lot more work and a lot more diversity in what you can do. So I'm on a show called Hit the Floor right now, and I love doing the show. And normally, I mean, I had to come in. I was able to fly in yesterday. Louisville's not a straight shot from Los Angeles, but it took me all day to get here. But had I been shooting a show like Lois and Clark, I wouldn't have been able to be here because I would not have made it on a Friday. Excuse me. Fortunately, Hit the Floor, I had the Friday off. I worked that one out. And I spent all day traveling. It allows you to have a life. This show does, when you're doing an ensemble like I'm in this show, you have a life outside of it. You can do some other things outside of just work all the time. So I love that. But the show's called Hit the Floor. If you have young dancers in your family, there's a lot of dancers and such on the show. And it's a little bit different plate of fare than Lois and Clark, that's for sure. But I really enjoy doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again. I thought of another question.
All right.
If you could choose any role in any movie, what would be the one you would choose to do?
Wow. I wish I had that option. That'd be awesome. I certainly liked, I loved all the Indiana Jones films, so that would have been a lot of fun to take that role. And on the Harrison Ford kick, I would have been great to play some Han Solo too. That'd be a lot of fun. So either one of those, sure, absolutely. You know a movie that I loved forever? Remember Romancing the Stone? Yes. That was a lot of fun too. So I would take Michael's role in that. That'd be fun.
So your middle name is Trouble?
Yeah, there you go. Look at you. Well done. Pull a quote out like that. So those would be great fun roles to play. I really enjoy those. And then again, you know, that whole James Bond thing. But American versions, I'm not going to do that accent because it's just not going to work.
So you would be in Inigo Montoya?
Oh. Well done. That was one of my favorite movies of all time, The Princess Bride. No, I just used that pseudonym because I liked it a lot. I would check into hotels for about 6 years as Inigo Montoya. Killed my father, prepared to die, yes. So I did that for a long time. I was always people but you'd call up for room service. Oh, yes, Mr. Montoya. I go, yes, so, but yeah, so those are some roles that I would certainly love to have played.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for uncovering my secret identity.
Think of a new one now. Well, what else do you have coming out? I was looking through like your IMDb. You just have a laundry list of projects coming out this year.
I like working. Working is, you know, they asked, who they asked? It was Michael Cain. They asked him one time, like, Michael, you did this Academy Award movie here, and then you went and did this little thing here, and you did this. Why would you do that? And he said, because I'm an actor. It's my job. It's what I do. And I like making movies. So I'm doing things, everything from doing little web episodes for my friends who are creating some web content to Hit the Floor to a movie that I'm producing and starring in for another Christmas movie because I have a lot of Christmas movies because I like them. It's called Merry Xmas, like EX, like your ex, like an ex-wife perhaps. And so we're doing that one. We started that in about a week and a half while I'm shooting Hit the Floor. And I like staying busy. I just enjoy that, and then at the same time, I pop out and host the Today Show every now and again, and some stuff like that, which is a lot of fun. I don't want to limit myself. I just want to stay busy.
Well, that's good. That's good. I don't think anybody here is going to be complaining about that necessarily.
Don't you dare.
Now, of course, you do a lot of the ComicCons, and of course, a lot of people in this room, out of this room, excited to meet you, get a photo op, an autograph. How about you? Do you fanboy for anybody yourself?
I can't tell you that. You know, every time you see Stan Lee, for me that's a wonderful thing. I think, you know, his impact has been phenomenal. You think of the characters he's created and what they've become. So yeah, certainly Stan for sure. I met Matt Smith. I'm not a big Doctor Who guy, but he's a really nice guy. But I would say it has to be Stan. I sort of fanboy on Stan a little bit. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. I'd say the favorite thing that I hear about when I come to the cons and things, and someone said it earlier today, is that they grew up watching the show Lois and Clark with their family, their mother, their father, both, or they grew up watching it. And I love that because my son's 13, he's almost 14, and there's no show that we sit down and watch together and sort of bond over. And I wish there were. And that's one of the most rewarding things that I hear when people say that they did grow up that way, listening to or watching the show with a family member, and they just say thank you for that, and I love that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you're going to be here today and tomorrow, correct?
Today, not tomorrow, because it takes all day to get home, and I have to go to work Monday very early.
All right, so if you haven't stopped by his booth yet, make sure to do so.
Please do.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get loud and proud. Dean Cain!
Thank you very much. I have to ask, what is she playing PlayStation? What is she doing there? She's watching a video? Smart girl. She's like, what are you talking about me? We're talking about you. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Have a great con, and I'll see you out there.